Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Everybody's just barely getting the crust out of their eyes. It's nice to see you. I am Bullhorn Betty, and we've been covering the case of Miss Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother, ripped out of her home in the middle of the night, masked gunman. We have zero suspects. It sounds like this unprofessional criminal is a good criminal. Left very little evidence behind, but did leave some things from what we're hearing. We're not dead in the water yet. But it sounds like nothing. A whole bunch of nothing. According to our friend Ashley Banfield and her reporting from her sources close, which has reinvigorated a little bit because, let's face it, Miss Ashley Banfield has kind of been on the hot seat over her source, in all fairness. And I forgot to pull this up, so give me just a second. There we go. Get this over. I don't know if it's multiple entry points. We don't know. And then we're going to get into criminal Nanos, the criminal. Sheriff Nanos, the criminal. We've got a lot of stuff kind of in the pike that was sent to me. It's kind of a little out of order, but we're going to make do with it. There we go. Some of the stuff, some of the clippings, the news articles and news clippings that we have related to Chris Nanos. We got a whole kit and caboodle of it. And we've got some breakdowns of what he has done over the years. So we've got some stuff to go over related to Sheriff Chris Nanos. But right now we are entering the 57th day. The 57th day. Today is Palm Sunday. And we just surpassed Good Friday. So, today's a great day for people to be praying for a miracle, to be praying for some answers, to be getting some answers, there's just a lot of stuff that we have many questions about. I don't know how... I'm not sure how I feel about the statement Savannah made. I mean, I'm thankful she made it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very, very, very thankful that Savannah, came to the public and made a statement at all. Because, again, we've been having some major issues, with some of the audience out there that's a little concerned because, it's hard to have a standard for one person and not for others. For example, one of the reasons why we are having such a problem with Sumner County, the Sebastian Rogers case, because the mom and stepdad, military trained, have been on site to find mass casualty events during a tsunami and other things. So they have the experience and the skill and training to search, for human life, for human beings. And they've never once went out and searched for their own son. And that has always been problematic. They've hidden, they've ran away. They haven't spoken to the public, yet their loved one is still missing. So it's very hard and difficult for us not to apply that same standard across the board. And many people do, and they do it religiously. It's not something that we're beating the Guthrie family up. This is standard operating procedures that we've taken in. So what is going on in this case, I really don't know. Is Sheriff Nanos a dud? And my answer is I have to trust the people out there. I have to trust the information that the public is saying. I can no longer trust one individual, mainly Sheriff Chris Nanos, because there's been so many people speaking ill of him and speaking out against him, from former bosses to former, employees that worked under him. Just a lot of stuff when it comes to Chris Nanos that is just fully and totally unacceptable. We back the blue, and one thing that we do not like is corruption and bad cops. Okay, at the end of the day, he is the poster child of a bad cop. You beat the crap out of a person in custody, handcuffed, that's not a threat, and you send him to the ICU. That's not a good cop. We expect cops to be professional. This man has not been professional his entire upbringing. He'd had a facade. That's it. He realized the way he was doing things was not the way to work, so he did those things a little more discreetly. A man that likes beating up inmates is not going to stop beating up inmates. They're just going to find a way to do it a little bit easier without knowledge. That's all. So it makes me feel like this man for 40 years have been abusing inmates, has been abusing detainees, arrestees. I just don't believe, zebras change their stripes. I'm sorry. I've been around the block a time or two, and every zebra I know has the same stripes that they had when they were born, or when they produced the stripes, right? I don't know if I think they had a few stripes when they were born. I don't know. Maybe I didn't study zoology well enough. I don't know. But you know what? The old adage, zebras don't change their stripes. Neither do people, okay? Once a physical abuser, I don't see too many people coming off the physical abuse. I don't know. That's just our experience here on this channel. I mean, I'd like to believe that he's changed himself and changed his life, but, in all fairness, seeing this case and seeing how many people have talked about him being a bully, after being suspended 8 different times for beating people up. So we'll be talking about Chris Nanos, the criminal, ? The criminal. Is he a criminal, right? I think he is. I think he should be in jail. I think he should have been in jail. So it's been nearly 2 months since Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, vanished from her southern Arizona home. Savannah Guthrie told Today Show co-host Hoda, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, I don't know. This week that the back door of Nancy's home were found propped open. And she said doors, plural, and that's important. So we have multiple doors propped open. Were those propped open by the assailant, or were those propped open by Nancy herself? We need to get down to the bottom of that. If it was a hot night, what's to say that she didn't prop those doors open to keep them from closing so she could have the nice breeze coming down the hallway into her room and out her sliding glass doors? It does sound like it's possible. Savannah's family is offering a $1 million reward for the safe recovery of Nancy. And then, of course, Saturday marks the 56th day. Today is Sunday, as you guys know, Palm Sunday. Today is day 57 in the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old grandma that was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night as we enter the 8th week. So what has happened over the past few days? It's hard to imagine doing it because it's such a place of joy and lightness, and I can't come back. So what we're learning is Savannah is now entertaining going back to her job. Listen, I'm all for people getting back on the saddle after a traumatic event, okay? Especially ones that have children, especially ones that have to still live their life. They cannot afford just to break down and have a mental health issue, okay? They've got to continue to keep going for their family, for their job, for their livelihood. They still have to fight each and every day to try to find some balance between this tragedy and a path forward with your own life. And that's what's going to be a struggle for Savannah. But again, Savannah had a great teacher because her mother had such a challenging young adulthood. Her mom, around 40, just late 40s, lost her husband. Mid to late 40s, she lost her husband. I think she was 46 or 47 years old when her husband passed away. That's my age, and her having 3 kids and having to survive and keep the house up and pay the bills after being a housewife for years, since you've had kids and were married 20 years. She was a housewife. And now she's got to go and approach the, she has to now approach getting a job and taking care of her family and putting food on the table and keeping the bills up. This was a very trying time for her and her family. And her mom couldn't break down because she had children that she needed to still take care of. She still had a house and a family that needed to still run with or without the father. They were either going to pull themselves together or they were going to go bankrupt, and God knows what would have happened at that point. So she had a good teacher on how to grieve and live. And I pray to God she's holding on to that. I never want anybody to be so stricken with grief that they are unemployable. Now, granted, that's what we usually get is situations where we have a mom or a dad or, family members that are so grief-stricken by the loss, by, somebody disappearing and never coming back and never knowing what happened to them, that it robs them of any ability to live, any of ability to go over. Some people are just stuck without closure, and they just can't move past that without closure. So I'm definitely supportive of anybody that tries to get their life back together after this. It's just so many times we come across a situation where they can't. But, a lot of our cases are children. And we can understand how parents are distraught and how it destroys a parent, because our design in this life is our parents go before us. And our parents are accepting of that. We're accepting of that. But what we're not accepting of is our children going before us. And that is always such a hard time, especially the younger the child is, and if the parent was obviously not involved. We have a lot of young children out there that are missing and deceased, and they're missing and deceased at the hands of the people that were supposed to protect them. So, and that's just the reality of it. And that's why so many people are looking so close to the family related to this case, and how people are just not letting go of the sister or the brother-in-law, because in situations like this, more times than not, it's somebody directly connected to the family. And in this case, they're saying those very people are cleared. So it's causing us our head to spin, but it's not just causing us our head to spin. Like if we had a different sheriff, the different sheriff, we would trust when they came out and cleared somebody, we would trust that person is cleared. But we have Chris Nanos, okay, and he's making us go bananas over this case. And every time he gives us something, he takes it back. And we learned not to trust what comes out of his mouth. So when he clears the family, there's a lot of distrust in mainstream media. There's a lot of distrust in social media. There's a lot of distrust from their own community with relations to the sheriff providing statements. There is just a lot of, missing stuff all the way around. So before we get any further into this show, let me say good morning to everybody. It's nice to see you come on in. We've got a lot of discussion points and a lot of information to show you guys related to Nanos, the criminal. Question mark, right? Question mark. Is he a criminal? In my opinion, I think that he should be in jail. Not necessarily today, but I think his conduct warranted him being with the criminals, at least for 2 to 5 years, with some of the stuff he has done. He should have never been allowed to wear a badge or a gun again. After seeing his jacket, I'm very, very highly disturbed that he had a gun and a badge for so many years. I'm not going to lie. Okay, that's one thing I don't do. I don't like bad cops. If you know anything about me, I don't like bad politicians. I don't like bad cops, and I don't like bad citizens. I don't like bad. Okay, if you're bad of either one of those makeups, then you're the person. You're my guy. Okay, or my girl. You're mine. Okay. That's where I'm going with it. You're mine. So it's nice to see you, Eeyore. Lisa B. Always. Good morning, love bugs. Bullhorn Betty is present. Adrian, it's nice to see you. Good morning, good morning. Texas woman. Mike up in the house awfully early. Good morning, Mike. It's nice to see you. Denise, good morning. Nanny Goat, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have here? Donna, good morning, love bug. Melanie, it's nice to see you as well. Deb, it's nice to see you. We've got Handsome Man up in the chat. It's nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well this morning. We've got Phil. It's nice to see you, Phil. Good morning, love. She visits us from Ireland across the pond. It's always nice to have her here, and she's loyal. We love it. We love it. She's been trying to give us Rosie O'Donnell back since Rosie O'Donnell came. I'm just joking. We love Phil. We love Phil. Oh, good gracious. Arizona Raven. Wow, you're up early. Judy, it's nice to have you, love. I hope you're doing well. Debbie, good morning. Good morning. Pat, it's nice to see you. And my machine just popped up on me, so give me just a second. We got a lot of people in the chat because I chatterbox too much. That's what my problem. I talk too much. So we had Pat. Good morning. Who else do we have in here? Put a lid on it. Put a lid on it. Love it. Melissa, it's nice to see you. Good morning. I think I said hi to Debbie. Chase, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you are doing well this beautiful morning. Who else do we have? Teresa, Skybell. Good morning, ladies. I hope you are doing well. I wonder why none of the podcasters went to New Mexico for the missing Air Force general. Listen, Mike, I got to be honest with you. Like, I am... This case, that right there is almost like I'm starting to think that I need to start looking into that case because it's not just this missing general. I mean, I think I've calculated now 6 people that are affiliated with the UFO program that are missing right now. Like, I feel like these are people that are scientifically inclined, and I feel like there's another country that ripped our people away and are making them work on something. You know, like this is so conspiracy theory right now that my brain is on an overload with that whole general in the UFO program and stuff like that. Like, there's assistants that are missing that were yanked out of their home that nobody knows where, but they're not part of the military. They were only doing clerical stuff there or something like that. I can't remember how it all worked, that nobody's looking at them, but they're missing too. We got women missing. We don't just have these dudes missing. We got like 6 people missing right now. And everybody is keeping it all hush, hush, hush. And I don't know who's got them working on what. But they're working on something. I'm sorry. There's just too many people that were connected together that are just now missing across our country. If you guys are watching that and you guys are getting a little perplexed, start sending me some stuff. If you guys see it and it's interesting, just send it. I know we're talking about the Guthrie case, but I got to tell you, this whole, I mean, I'm getting the like major Twilight Zone vibes off this. Like, there's something going on in this country, and I don't know if it's a secret. These people are higher up in our military. They had it. Damn it, I'm probably missing my eyeliner up. Hold on here. I think I got my eyeliner all fucked up. Can't even see because I don't have my glasses on. I can't see because I don't have my glasses on. I think I screwed up my eyeliner. I had my eyeliner perfect. My eyeliner's still perfect. I think I just wiped this eyeliner off. Oh well. That's the problem when I have my eyes are itchy. There's a lot of allergies going on right now here in Florida. If you're in Florida, take your allergy medication. But Mike, you're right. I mean, it's perplexing. It's perplexing and it's defying logic, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like really, really looking at that. But I was reading other articles. There's other people that are low level that are missing as well. So this is really turning into something for me. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something. Kim, it's nice to see you. Good morning. 42 degrees. It was actually kind of cold. I took Delilah out this morning and it was very chilly here in Florida, which is surprising to me because usually this time of year we're starting to get more muggy because we're in springtime. You have a lot more showers and we haven't really had a whole lot of rain. I've got I just mowed the yard, but I have some edging stuff. But on the 1st, which is in a few days, I should be receiving. I got a battery operated little 17-inch mower, because I was looking at the gas. The gas are just it's too big. Like I have a huge yard, but my yard is pretty much taken care of by my riding lawnmower. Okay. So I only have, and I got the weed eater, but there's some areas here that the weed eater is just, it takes me forever to do. So I got myself a little 17-inch. It was like $100 and something. It was cheap as shit. And it came with 2 batteries. So I'm like, what the hell? It's 17 inches versus 22 inches. My other little push lawnmower is like 22 inches. So it's got a smaller little base to it. But I thought something quick just to get that little, I got that storm drain in the front of the house, that ditch in the front of my house. Well, the last time that they dug it out, they dug it so deep that I can't mow it with the riding lawnmower. I used to be able just to get in there and go up with the riding lawnmower and just clean that all up. Well, the last time they dug it. I've never had it. So, I mean, I've been here for a long time. I've never had it dug that deep before. And now that they've got this huge, bigger ditch and rut there than what I've had the whole time I've lived here, it has prevented me from being able to mow that spot because I can't get the riding lawnmower down. And it looks horrible out, and it's in the front of the house. So I had to figure out what the heck to do. I dealt with it. And of course the winter came, which killed all the leaves and weeds and stuff growing out there, but it still needs to be knocked down and it still needs to be maintained. I don't like it looking like, what's the point in mowing the yard when the ditch is growing up so high that you can't even get it. So long story short, I got a little 17-inch battery operated. So hopefully I'll get the ditch. Now I can start getting a ditch. I had to buy new equipment to clean my ditch. Okay, yes, that's exactly how we do it. So 42 degrees, nice here in Florida, and actually very low humidity this morning. I went out there, my hair did not go flat, as you can see. It's nice and poofy and lively. If anybody knows, I've been working as much on my hair as possible. My hair was very, very, I don't know, just didn't have a lot of body, didn't have a lot of shine to it. And then I changed a few things. I got a dehumidifier. The humidity in my house was ridiculous and I didn't realize it. It was causing issues with my hair. So I got a dehumidifier and I started washing my hair like I'm supposed to. And now it's starting to look a lot more healthy. So I'm really happy with that. Who else do we have up in the chat? It's nice to see you. We got Melissa, Jackie. Good morning. I think I said hi to you, handsome man. It's nice to see you. She must have propped it. That's kind of what I'm thinking, handsome man. I feel like she might have propped it open, but you know what? If she didn't prop it open and it really was the assailants, I still believe the assailants came into the sliding glass door because I'm sorry, you're going to want to, if you're there for her, you're going to want to subdue her very quickly. And the quickest way to subdue her is jump in through that sliding glass door and get her under control very quickly. I just feel like going through a different door through the back of the house or something would have given her plenty of time potentially to reach for the phone, call 911. I felt like that, it's risky to go through the back as opposed to through the sliding glass doors, in my opinion. So long story short, that's kind of where we are with that case. I don't know if they came through the back door or the front door, but I do believe that they used something around the house to transport her with. And that might be why the back doors were propped open, is that he needed to find something. He didn't have something with him. That might be the reality of it. And what are the chances of him putting that item back where he found it? Like I'm just so types and I'm trying to go through all the videos. So this is what you guys could help me with if you guys have time. And I know you guys will have time and you're going to go back because something's going to spark in your mind. You're going to be like, ooh, let me check this out. Right? I'm looking for all the footage from February 1st, from local news, from February 1st, all the footage of the front of the house, the aerials, everything. I'm looking for all of the footage from February 1st to February 5th. That's it. I want all the footage from those several days. So if you're doing research and you find articles or videos or something that's from those days, from the 1st to the 5th, I want to see them. Email them to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, please. I'm looking at that. Ooh, look who it is. Grave Crime with Grace. I stole her chicken salad. I stole her chicken salad, and I paid her back. I paid her back with some Bullhorn Betty pins. I paid her back with some Bullhorn Betty pins. Don't worry. I think I have a way I'm going to help share some of the pins and stuff. I think I'm going to order a new order, and I think I'm going to have it mailed to Sonia. So Sonia will have them. I think I'm going to order some swag to send and just send it on over to Sonia's camp, because she's the one that takes care of, this. Not that she works for me. She doesn't. She works for herself. But I know that she would throw a free swag into your packages if you guys are ordering from this. So I'd like to, amplify some of the stuff she's doing by throwing some extra items that you wouldn't get somewhere else into the package when you buy and purchase from Sonia. So I'm working on that. But once I get those, get some stuff ordered for us that are branded for the Bullhorn Betty true crime show, then I'll get a package sent out to Sonia. So you'll start seeing some cutesy little free items in your packages, probably starting, I don't know, maybe next month. So I think that's going to be good. And I'm sure she'll accept it. I mean, I haven't Sonia hasn't told me no yet. She told me to quit cussing. So I know she knows how to say no, you know. That wasn't nice. I know she knows how to put her foot down. So I'm pretty sure she doesn't want it. I'm sure she's welcoming of it. As long as I don't make her have to pay extra money. But I think the stuff's light enough. When she sends you stuff, it's going to be the same rate anyway. So I'll make sure it's light. And these pens really aren't that heavy. They're not really that heavy. So maybe like this and maybe a sticker. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you guys know when she'll let you guys know when in the chat when she finally gets the package. But I think I'm going to order some pink pen. I like the pink pens. And these pens were, believe it or not, I was impressed with these pens. They're writing. They got the little thing to help you with your screens and stuff like that, like your touch screens. And they write very well. So I'm very pleased with these. So I think I'll order another box and send them to Sonia and maybe a couple other things. I don't know yet. We'll see. Good morning. It's nice to see you. Who else do we have? Kim, I think I said hi. Jewel. Good morning, Jewel. It's nice to see you. Who else do we have? Oh, Grave Crime with Grace. Gifted. Oh, and we got Adam in here as well. It's nice to see you, Adam. So, Grave Crime with Grace gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Because I'm a love machine. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room. Melissa, Arizona Raven, Mr. E. Crimecast. Let's not forget to say a prayer for Mr. E. Crimecast. Part of the family, but made it official. And it's nice to see you. And the missing link. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to this crazy family. Welcome to this crazy family.
Oh, like I'm not going to sing. I'll see you in hell.
Bob's Burgers never fails. We love Bob's Burgers. Melissa, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have? Vicky. Hey, Vicky, it's nice to see you. Our beautiful Melanie. Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope everyone has a good day. Much love to BHB. Prayers to whoever needs them. I got to tell you, our prayer chain is getting very, very long, folks. So we need all of the people. Palm Sunday, great day to be praying for everybody. Everybody needs prayers today. I have talked to so many people. Everybody's struggling. So I know that the people that have spoken to me, if they're struggling, I know that there's a lot of people in my chat that are struggling silently that would never trust me or tell the people in the chat that they're having a rough time right now. So we're praying for you too. Even you haters in the back that like to sit here and spy on us, we pray for you guys too. You know, and we know that you guys have problems as well. You wouldn't be so disgruntled and angry all the time if things kind of went your way a little more. Well, maybe you need to have a better relationship with God, you know, just a little tidbit, just a little thought. Not everybody can, you know, some people are just really, really, really angry with God for a lot of different things. But, you know, I can tell you one thing, hate never cured anything. Just throwing that out there. So, you know, might be a good day to change some things. Reno, it's nice to see you. Good morning, Love Bug. I hope you're doing well today. It's nice to see you. Larry, good morning. Welcome. Jamie, Linda, Veronica B. She's back. Oh, good gracious. She's back. Poor thing. Broke hand, the real Me Too timed her out. She's like, I'm sorry, it's my hand. And she's like, I'm driving. Well, keep your blessed hands off the damn phone when you're driving, lady. And she's like, I'm down one hand. You know, I'm imagining the real Me Too. Nobody driving, no hands, because the one hand's broke and the other hand's on the machine. No, I know it wasn't like that. I know she's probably with her family, but still. Welcome back from the dark side. Linda, it's nice to see you. Jamie, good morning. Who else do we have? Oh, is it Jiro Tanaka? It's nice to see you. Does it not get cold at night in the desert? I think it does. I think the ground gets colder than the water. I know that. I remember that when I was smarter than a fifth grader. But I heard that it does get a little chilly in the desert at night. Reno, oh, thank you. Thank you, love. I appreciate that. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Thank you. I think they played Savannah and treated Savannah like a dumb little girl. They belittled her so bad. This is a revenge attack, a deep wounded family kidnapping. You know, I keep wondering how much, because, you know, you hear about these things where, you know, we've all watched the movie shows, you know, and it's like, this is real life, not movies. Hey, Danielle. But, you know, you remember those soap operas, you know, of the jaded sister that was always perfect. And it's like, then it's like, you? And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like they just unzip themselves and step out. And it's like, yes, you had mom and dad, and they always thought you were perfect. And it's like all this like demon person, this person that you thought loved you. And then, you know, the soap opera, the person steps out. It's like, yes, it was me because of you, right? And so you're kind of waiting for that moment when somebody, you know, steps out and you know, shows their colors, and we're waiting for that to happen. And I truly believe that, you know, obviously somebody's jaded. Hey, Forrest, it's nice to see you, love. It feels like somebody's jaded here, but who? I mean, the idea that this is willy-nilly third party that had nothing to do with this lady, it's just, there is a possibility for that to be the factors of this case. I don't want to dispute that could ultimately be the factors of this case, but it's just statistically is so rare. I mean, this whole story is just, hey, Blessed, is just so rare. Hey, Patricia, it's nice to see you. It's making it difficult to comprehend. That's the problem. I don't know why we have drop rates this morning, but it looks like we're having a few drop rates. So I do apologize if I'm dropping frames or buffering on your end. It's not too bad, but it does show something on this end. It's spiking too much. It shouldn't go over 4,000 bits per second, but it does spike about 42 bits per second. And I dropped my bits per second down to 38. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. Not that you guys understand any of that, but I'm trying to make sure that we have a good running show. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not rare in real life. Yes, this kidnapping for ransom is very rare in the United States. It is not something that is a very common practice in this country at all. It once was, but, you know, it's not anymore. We don't pay ransoms typically. Most of the people advise never to pay the ransom. Hey, crazy woman, it's nice to see you. So that's where my issue is that, you know, we're taught never to pay the ransom. We set it up like we're going to pay it, but that's only a way to get the assailant. You know, we never pay the ransom, and that's why that's very unsuccessful here, is nobody ever gets paid. When you have an avenue that nobody ever gets paid, it's funny how people don't use that avenue to extort money anymore. And I think that's what it has happened. I believe it is her fault. You know, in all fairness, Grave, you're right. I kind of have this underlying feeling that this, but there's a piece of me that feels like none of this has anything to do with Savannah. And I really do hope at the end of all of this, that's going to be the ultimate finding, is that these were people that targeted this lady because she lived, you know, they got to watch her. She lived near them. And I'm praying to God that it doesn't ultimately fall back on Savannah. I really hope it doesn't, because to live the rest of her life, I mean, that's torment, you know. And there's no real good person that deserves to know that their job, their lifestyle contributed to the loss of somebody that they cared about a lot. You know, why does this person get it, but this person doesn't? You know, it's never about that type of thing. It's about, I hope nobody ever has to feel tormented that they were the ones that got somebody they loved hurt, right? But we know it happens all the time, like the father that turns his back and his child drowns or left in the hot car along with moms. Like, people make mistakes. It's their fault, the reason why their child is not with them. And I can tell you the negative effects on those people are detrimental. They never get over it. They will always blame themselves. And that is a mental void that people get sucked into and never quite get out of. And I hope that that's not the story for Savannah Guthrie. And because to spend the rest of your life blaming yourself over your mother that you loved and adored, it's hell. It's got to be pure hell on earth. So I really hope that we find out something different for her. You know, it's just a hope. We know the statistics. We know the alarming numbers. We know that this may have something to do with family. It may have something to do with just bad people. But what brought these people to this woman, to this specific woman? That's where I'm at. And it does feel very personal for some reason. And it feels like this person cased the joint. Why? You know, she's referring to one person. I kind of think there were multiple people here. I think that I've crossed over the fence to say that, yes, this could be done by one person, but everything that we're seeing here, in my opinion, implies that there might be more than one person. At least 3 people is the numbers that everybody's been bringing up. And I got to say, there have been people in our own chat that have been kind of directing us to this reality that it might come out, whether we listened or not. I mean, I was trying to be listening, but some of the stuff, I would be honest with you, sounded so far-fetched at the time, you know. Now that we're seeing this, you know, it doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. It's just part of the process, getting from point A to point B. It's not to be rude or inconsiderate to people, you know, bringing the theories about. It's about putting it in a palatable and understandable format. And it's hard to do that when you don't believe it. You know, that's what I always talk to you guys about. It's hard for me to explain this theory if I'm not invested in it, you know, and that's kind of where it was, is I was not invested in the multiple person theory until recently, until there was more information that kind of supported that. You know, I don't like willy-nilly guessing at stuff. I like to know that there's something there that could potentially support it before we go down that avenue, because you got to understand, one, it's just me here. And 2, it takes a lot to do a lot of this research. I mean, you're talking about a lot of research, and you guys get to go bounce around from content creator to content creator to get your information. Well, for me, I've got to study all of it to give you the information. So you get your 2 hours here before you bounce to the next content creator. Well, it takes me like 4 hours of research to produce 2 hours of information, right? Because I have to understand what I'm looking here, and then I got to see how it makes me feel. Traditional news does not provide you. They like unbiased. Listen, I'm all about the facts, but I'm not all about the stupidity, okay? Certain things mean certain things, and I have no problem talking about it. I don't need to let my audience connect the dots. We're here talking about the case. I wish more media would start fighting for answers. Like, I even am asking Nick Barris, like, where's your investigative journalism? Why are you not holding Sumner County Sheriff's feet to the fire? Why aren't you demanding questions and answers? I remember once upon a time when we were jaded by our government, who did we run to? We called like Action News 10 or 9 or 8 or 7. You know, we called ABC Action News. We called Fox News. We called them to hold our politicians' feet to the fire, to really dive in and get answers and stuff like that, and report on those things and really fight for the little guy. Well, you don't have that anymore. I mean, they try to act like they got that, but look at this Sebastian case. Look at out here. You got all these journalists from Nashville. They're not even really connected to the Sumner County area, and we can't even get them to act like journalists and act like they want answers, and they're going to hold law enforcement and the government accountable to the people. You know, the media used to do that for us. They're lap cats. They're lap cats, and it's so irritating. It's so irritating. Nobody in mainstream media is fighting for answers or demanding the sheriff to give a press conference or starting to sue them. The deep pockets of media, that's what we always relied on media for. We can't even get them to do that now. It's so disheartening. It's so disturbing. It's so frustrating. And I think every opportunity you guys have when you see Ashley Thompson or whatever her name Thompson is, when you see Nick Barris, when you see all of those medias out there, start asking them, well, what about Sebastian's case? What about Sebastian's case? Start being the squeaky wheel. Everybody needs to start being the squeaky wheel with the media out there until they get a clue. We need their help. We need them to stand up and speak up. We need them to start holding, Sheriff Snuggle Struggles accountable. Where's the press conference? This child has been missing. Are we never going to hear about this child again from the Sumner County Sheriff? They're not willing to search for him, not willing to arrest anybody that abused him and just throw him and act like he doesn't exist. Just like his mommy and his stepdaddy. Just act like he doesn't exist. And the media out there is okay with that. It's sickening. It's sickening. You guys need to start bum kicking your freaking media in Sumner County and Nashville. If you start bum kicking your media every day, criticize them every single day. Any post they make, always turn it around to Sebastian Rogers. Always turn it around to Sebastian Rogers. If we start doing that by the hundreds, they will get the clue. We are still interested and engaged with Sebastian Rogers. We need answers, and they are the only ones that can help us get it. And that's what we need to start doing. So please, guys, start helping on that. That's stuff that you guys can do. Keep it professional. Keep it clean. Don't be disrespectful. Just remind them, we thank you for reporting on this story, but what about Sebastian Rogers? Why aren't you asking the Sumner County? Why are you not giving us any press conferences in 2 years on a child that still hasn't been found and you still say you need help with? That you still need public to turn stuff in. But you're not asking the public for squat? So start getting in there, guys. Start getting in there, please. Please, this is stuff that you all can be doing. Patricia, it's nice to see you. Hello, hello, hello. I think I said hi to everybody, so let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to be going over to, I think it's Ashley Banfield now, and listening to some of the stuff that she has to say here. She's got a little puppy with her, so she's really happy about her neighbor's puppy. You can see she needs a puppy. Ashley Banfield needs a puppy. She's so happy to see this puppy that she's got a little puppy. She's got a little puppy.
until she's had enough, right? Boo-boo?
8 weeks. That's a big dog.
So
that's going to be a big dog. That's an 8-week-old puppy.
Don't forget to subscribe. I love
that 8-week-old puppy. That 8-week-old puppy is already bigger than Delilah is. Okay, Delilah, when she came to me at 8 weeks, she fit in the palm of my hand. And she was just a tiny little thing. She was just the cutest little thing. Oh, good gracious, Delilah. Ah, my baby. Oh, I know. But this one's a retriever and just adorable. I love big dogs too. I love animals, period. I love creatures. I love creatures.
Love having you all, and I'm so appreciative of all you subscribers and also you members. Thank you so much. Zenyatta.
Which reminds me, guys, do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you are not already joined to this the Bullhorn Betty channels. We have a lot of different channels on different. I've got like 3 or 4 different Facebook groups that are Bullhorn Betty fan clubs. So check them out. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of the same stuff, but I didn't realize I don't know where some of these fan clubs came from. They're all connected to me, but I must have been sleeping and didn't realize I set up a few fan clubs. I don't know. So anyways, go check all those out. Plus we have the X, we have a Substack, which I haven't written in a long time. I need to do another article kind of catching. The last time was about Annie and Tommaso being forensically tested and how that didn't look good. And that was the last, and so much has changed since then. So I've got to write a very, very lengthy article update for Substack. So if you guys haven't been over to Substack in a while, get over there, sub me up. And then of course, TikTok, which I'm not really doing a whole lot of videos on TikTok. They just went to the shit. In all fairness, it's very, very hard to compete on TikTok anymore to get the stuff out there. I'm sure I'm just out of the algorithm. Then of course they sold, and then, trying to build back in there. And I really don't really care for them. I try to get the stuff out there, but I do lives for videos on here. So, and it's just to give a more of a, because we have the landscape version like this, and occasionally people are on their phones. So I try to give people upright type of videos as well, and I can only do that with the use I can do it a different way, but it's easier for me to do it through TikTok. God, we pray for our world today. Bring peace to places of conflict, comfort to those who suffer, and hope to the hopeless. May compassion overcome fear and love unite us all. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger so we can get all of it in there. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. So here is Ashley Banfield. She's got a lot to say after she gets over the cuteness of the puppy. As you can see, she's super happy. You can see like her whole, she needs a puppy. Ashley, I don't know if you know this, but you need a dog. Okay. I'm just telling you, you need a dog. Why do I say that? Because I haven't seen you so happy. Like your eyes are brightened. Her eyes are brightened. Look how bright her eyes are. She's a happy person.
By the way, yes, if some of you are from a certain age, Zenyatta Mandata, I think that might be part of the name, but apparently Zenyatta means calm. And I can't remember what Jane said about what language. Calm.
Oh, thank you, Peggy.
Quite calm, this little puppy.
Appreciate you.
She's a little monkey, but she's pretty calm and sweet. So I wanted to come to you tonight, not just because I had this adorable puppy, but I'm puppy sitting, but also because I've got some news that I wanted to bring you from my. Do you want to jump down? Do you want to go down and play?
That dog's going to be heavy because that's the reason why I put Delilah down.
Sources. I've been having multiple conversations.
I put Delilah down because she starts hurting the arms, and she's only like 5 pounds, 6 pounds. Actually, she's getting fat. She's not getting fat. Laura. I'm like, she's getting fat. Laura's like, she's filling out. She's filling out. So whatever.
With my sources in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, and we're at day 56. I'm recording this on the 28th of March, a Saturday.
She does, yeah.
And I heard something that kind of just made me shake my head. And
Here
I
it
wanted
is.
to come to you. Normally I do this Monday to Friday. On occasion I'll do the Saturday, but I had to do this today because some of you may have heard me say this before. In an investigation, sometimes it's like a duck swimming, right? Above water, the duck is very calm and appears not to be doing anything at all. And below the water, their little paddles are flying, right? Just paddle, 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 paddle. And part of me wondered if that's what's going on in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, that it's calm, it's quiet. You heard an episode from me the other day where an investigator said, we ain't got shit. But they're paddling like crazy, right? Paddling like crazy under the surface, and there's something really going on. And, oh, sweetheart. I can tell you that an investigator on the case has described Nancy Guthrie's home this way. But for the blood pattern in that front hall foyer, the droplets that go over the threshold of the front door into her entrance at the front door outside and then down the walkway. But for that, and this man appearing on camera and that camera being taken, nothing else inside the home appears that a crime happened. And the exact words that were spoken to me were this: it's as though, but for those things, it's as though Mrs. Guthrie got up in the middle of the night, out of bed, and walked out of her house and disappeared.
That is creepy, because how many other women do we hear about that in this area? Not necessarily just in Pima County, but this is not the first time we've heard about a woman being at her home, an elderly woman being at her home, and then boom, she's no longer there. Hello, animal. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. This is the part that upsets us because, again, I'm listening to what Miss Ashley Banfield is saying. You know, we have a little more credibility in her source. Not much. I mean, remember, her source was still about 50% inaccurate on this stuff. So I don't want to, toot her horn more than it needs to be tooted. Okay. We did get a lot of information from about the Nest camera, about the lights being, disabled in the back side of the house. We did hear, her original source said that the back door was broken into, that there was forced entry in the back doors. And then it went from forced entries to them being wide open to now them being propped open. So that does give a little bit of credibility to the statements, but unfortunately it doesn't absolve her source of being inaccurate with, I mean, way inaccurate with some of the statements. So maybe they're peeking in, maybe they're not directly related to the investigation, and maybe they misunderstood some of the stuff. Maybe they have secret access or classified classification to give them access to certain databases, or maybe audios from dispatch that wouldn't be readily available to the public, that they're able to review and provide some insight to their news organizations. I don't know how all that works, because we do have sources, but our sources, and the sources I've used in the past came from the public, not from behind the scenes or law enforcement sources or something like that. I've never had, all the sources that we have are public sources, like like an actual person that, like, for example, with Kylie Rodney, we had the girl that was pictured as Kylie Rodney. Like they said, oh, this is Kylie Rodney. And the girl came forward and said, no, that's me. And showed us the original photo and showed us it was her, because they had put like this line through her eyes where it made it look like it was Kylie Rodney, but it wasn't. It was this lady. And so she wanted us to tell her story, but she didn't want to be, on the, she didn't want to show her face and didn't want her voice on there. So we modified all of those things. But our sources, our anonymous sources, were actual people from the public, not law enforcement close to the investigation giving us, evidentiary information. It wasn't like that. So I don't know about that aspect of things.
And that was such a profound statement to me, because I also assumed there was a lot of evidence in that home that we just don't know about, right? The duck paddles under the water, that there's so much that they've processed and that they're working on and that we don't know about. And what did it look like in her bedroom? And was there a scene of a struggle? Was there sort of a things out of place, knocked out of place, something, right? Savannah has mentioned back doors propped open, plural. I have a theory about that. It might actually be two doors in the same entrance, right? You got the screen door and the heavy door, that kind of thing, or the security door and the heavy door. It might be that it's one entrance with doors, plural, propped open. I don't know if it's multiple entrances, because she has 1, 2, 3 back doors.
But only 2 of those back doors that go into the house.
2 back doors, and then we've since discovered a third one that's very, very hard to see under the awning. But 3 back doors. So anyway, we're unclear as to what Savannah means by back doors, plural, propped open, whether it's multiple entrances or just one entrance with 2 doors, in it.
Right.
But these clues, other than doors propped open, man on the camera smashed, and this and blood pattern, nothing else. And that has me really flummoxed. I had this vision that there's just a huge scene that was processed inside, some evidence there of what happened, and apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, we saw that.
But I will say this: early in the investigation, like day of, they're showing up, and that may be how the scene presented, right? It may have been early on how the scene presented, even to the FBI and the homicide cops and everybody.
I still have a problem with, there's something that has triggered me about this whole scene that Savannah described, with the back doors propped open. I'm not sure if I believe too, but I mean, anything's possible at this point. Hold on a second. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Again, I have major allergies going on right now. So I'm not sure if I believe that there's a screen door and a back door. I didn't see a screen door on the back door. Usually a screen door is presented, on the outside of the door. I mean, even the front door, that security is on the outside of the main entrance door. So it's like when you have screen, and I didn't see any screen doors on the outside of those doors on the back side of the house. I didn't see any screen doors. So the possibility of that being accurate, that there's, like a screen door and a door both propped open, I think there's 2 separate doors. And again, I think that doesn't necessarily mean that they entered the house through those doors. It just means that they use those doors potentially for something. We see wheel patterns We see wool patterns on the outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. Good morning. Happy Palm Sunday to you too, OG. I hope you're doing well. Lots of love for each of you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. Wake up. Good morning. Peggy, good morning. Dan, I don't think I said good morning to you, but I did read your post, though. I just don't think I said good morning, so good morning. YouTuber, good morning, love. So I'm not sure if I agree with her 2 doors of the same frame, a screen door and a door. I think 2 doors were open. I think this might imply that they weren't expecting to have to transport her. I think they realized her mobility issues were a lot worse than they thought. Maybe that's what caused the blood. Maybe they got pissed off at her, thinking she was dragging her ass, and she was begging them and telling them, look, I can't walk. I don't know what you want from me. I'm 84 years old. I can't walk, and they may have gotten roughhoused with her, and then they ended up finding something to transport her and get her out of the house. And maybe that's what that's what they were walking around the house. Maybe that's what took them the 41 minutes, is to find a way to get her out of the house. I'm still not there with it, with my theory just yet. This is just kind of rough draft theory, so to speak. If the Savannah Net was not published on the internet, Nancy would be alive today. Potentially. I still believe $45 million net worth is still not a lot. I still just, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling with that being the motivation for her. Like, I still just feel that there's so much more. I don't know. I just feel like there's so much more. There's so much more people out there that would have been easier, even in their own neighborhood. Like, there's younger families there that are, single people that have, $100,000 sitting in a freaking safe. Then probably not today. They probably took it to the bank, but these neighborhoods, the houses here, there was richer people to target. I'm sorry, there just was. And I'm still kind of perplexed on why this lady was targeted, because, this is, once upon a time, being a millionaire was hard to do, and over time, because our dollar has been so devoured and devalued, that being a millionaire this day and age is like upper middle class. It's not like high society, high class like it once was before. It's lower class, or upper middle class, and lower upper class. It's just not what it once was. And so, I hear $45 million. To me, it's a lot of money, and maybe that's what the problem is to people. It sounds like a lot of money, but if you were going to really be studying the area and trying to find a soft target, I feel like there was a richer soft target that they could have targeted. I just still don't understand why this lady. So I'm not, those are the things that are keeping me wondering. Because like I said, I've got a developer here that's worth $2 billion. He's not famed and fortuned. He's not, people don't, like, he can walk into a grocery store without having an entourage, and people are like, oh my gosh, look who it is! He doesn't have, outside of people in our community that goes to, the meetings and stuff, doesn't know who this guy is. But if you were to study who's the rich person in this county, it's probably this developer. With a $2 billion portfolio, $2 billion. Now that's somebody that I would, start thinking, okay, yeah, maybe, but 45 million? I don't know. But again, I guess, it doesn't really matter, because a criminal's looking for somebody that has more than they, right? And that this case does. All these people have a lot more than we all have, right? Even the brother. The Army pilot brother, he's got a pretty good life for himself. Savannah's got a pretty good life for herself. It looks like Annie and Tommaso have a decent life for themselves, too. I was never really down with, I know that even Deception Detective is, and I highly regard the Deception Detective, and, I'm hoping he's wrong, and, but I am paying attention. I understand my opinion isn't necessarily the opinion the professionals are taking, and I understand that, and I'm listening. I've got an open mind. I'm not completely anti the family did it, because there's just too many things out here that don't make sense to us. And a few of those things that don't make sense to us is this doesn't feel like a robbery. This does not feel like a robbery. And those of us that understand the statistics and follow the statistics, it's hard for us to digest that this is a ransom. This is a kidnapping for ransom plot. It's so stinking rare. If this truly is it, I can tell you we'll never have another ransom in our lifetime. That's how rare it is. If this truly is a ransom, all of us watching this is going to be the one ransom that we've ever had experience with. That's how rare it is. We're never going to come across another case like this ever again in our lifetime. Okay? Statistics tell us that this is a once-in-a-lifetime event if it is truly a abduction for ransom. The chances of us seeing another one of this in our lifetime is not, it'll never happen. So I'm not sure that this is the ransom for hire. I feel like there's something more here, and I think everybody does. And that's why we're just, I feel like Savannah wants it to be a ransom because she just can't think of anything else. She doesn't want to think of anything else. And it comes back to our story yesterday about denial. I don't think that she's in the right mindset to think clearly about this because it's her family. And that's got to be the hardest thing because, she's done this stuff. She's been in the news. She's an attorney. She knows how to do this. But the problem is all of her common sense goes out the window because it's her family. And every time that she was able to say, we know that the family is usually involved somewhere. All those times she's been able to say it about other cases, when it comes to her own family, she wants to shame us for even thinking about it. And she knows that the statistics bode with our position, not hers. Yet she's too busy shaming us because she doesn't want to look at the worst part of this. And at the end of the day, we all know the alarming statistics. And this was she was at home. She was in her bed in the sanctity and safety of her home when she was abducted. She was in a low risk situation. We've got so many programs out here that tell us when she's in a low risk activity, such as being at home in bed sleeping, the person that's coming in or the person that's causing her discomfort is going to be somebody she knows. That's what statistics tell us. But we also have to entertain that the family is bigger than Nancy and her three children. Anybody's family is bigger than just their immediate family. Is this something with an extended family member or extended employee or something like that? I don't know. I just don't understand how our FBI, CIA, alphabet soup cannot find any communications amongst people about this abduction. If this truly was a ransom abduction, we should have text messages. We should have forensic data that shows communications between people, like they showed for Chris Preciado at his court hearing about some of the posts he was making, about these two individuals when they went missing. Those came back to haunt him at his trial. Where are those posts? We don't have them. So it's again causing some problems here.
From Pima County, that's the first thing they see. Like, what the hell happened here? Because it doesn't look like anything. Weeks in, as the FBI gets involved and crime scene investigators, CSI, show up and do a lot more processing, microscopic kinds of processing, maybe things look different. But the way that this has been described to me is that it's as vexing to them as it is to the rest of us.
I will tell you, she's talking about, let's go back and listen to her exact verbiage.
Maybe things look different, but the way CSI show up and like, what the hell happened here? Because it doesn't look like anything.
Let's listen.
Weeks in, as the FBI gets involved, and crime scene investigators, CSI show.
Weeks in, after the FBI gets involved, now they're going back and redoing these testing. Hey, Virginia, it's nice to see ya. Muthra, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. DeBoss, good morning. It's nice to see you as well. So now you're looking at this thing. They're saying weeks later, they go back to do more microscopic testing of this house. Weeks later. We just learned last night, while we were reading the Parade magazine, that once the crime scene has been contaminated and corrupted, you can't uncorrupt the crime scene. So they have major issues in this case. Even when they find the suspect, they've got major issues in this case.
Show up and do, a lot more processing, microscopic kinds of processing. Maybe things look different, but the way that
I think
this has been described to me is that it's as vexing to them as it is to the rest of us. Like if they didn't have that blood, and if they didn't have that man on camera, and cameras missing, they might have actually thought she just walked out. They might have actually thought that, because that's what it looked like in the home.
How many other elderly women have been assaulted in their own home and taken out and unalived, and they're still looking as these little old ladies just walked out? How many more in this community were similar to this, if not for the blood? I think that we need to start looking into this, because it might be another lead. This person we watched that person move around outside of her door. He looked very comfortable. That scares the shit out of me more than anything else about this. That bothers me the absolute most. Not that somebody would come into your home. We know that there's animals that live among us. That's why we take precautions and try to keep ourselves safe. But it is the movements of this assailant that has me spooked out. Because when you look at that, go back and watch that video of him. He's comfortable. He looks like he knows what he's doing. While he's not a James Bond person, he looks like a dumbass. He's still a very smart dumbass. He's still a criminal. He still knows how to do criminal well. And I think that's what protected him. He's a professional criminal. I have never seen somebody so comfortable moving around at night as out of all the videos we've seen over the last few years. I have never seen somebody so relaxed, so calm, so cool, so collected, knowing that they were about to go inside and rip out a elderly woman out of her bed in the middle of the night, and just cool as a cucumber. I don't know. I mean, I want you guys to think about that. The endorphins and anxiety and adrenaline running through that person's body. And he's just calm, cool, and collected. That's somebody, and I said that at the very beginning when I saw his movements. This is somebody that has done this before. I absolutely 100% believe that today, as I did when I saw him move for the first time on February 10th. Him acting dumb could just be for the camera. Nah. The stuff that he did that showed who he was as a person had to do with that gun. That gun said a lot about him. And that's a behavior. You know, where he put the gun, how the handle was going right, not left. It showed, him adjusting it with his left hand, not his right hand. It's just all kinds of, there was something about that behavior. Going and taking the shrubbery and trying to get behind the camera to pull the camera, to unmount the camera from the bracket. You know, those are just behaviors you can't change about somebody. That tells you a lot about the person. That tells you about them, their thought process, how they think, how clever they are, because how many of you guys would have thought to reach down and grab foliage to try to rip a camera off? Probably not many of you. So you're talking that those behaviors that you saw really do define that human being, right? Those are things that you have to think of. Would you have thought of that? Many of you guys would have said, no, I wouldn't have thought about that. And so this tells you a lot about that. This is how people can get profiled, because certain activities are identifying what type of person you are. Like, what person would have thought to reach down and pick up that foliage and make it straight like that, you know, for force purposes, to make sure it was strong. He even did this number here, you know, to make sure it was tight enough, you know, that he'd have the ability that it wouldn't just snap into two when he applied pressure. There's a lot to be said about the behaviors exhibited on the outside of that home. It wasn't just a man moving. It was how he was moving, why he was moving, why he was making the mental decisions he was making. Those help identify who that person is and how smart that person is. Because you can be a dumbass and still be a smart person, okay? This person had some type of skill. In my opinion, the skills that I saw out there were skills of construction. Many people think that they saw skills of maybe a mechanic. I'm in the construction field. I saw somebody with construction skills. That's what I saw out there. But that I could be completely dead wrong. But there's a lot to be said about that individual and the behavior of that individual. And in the walking of that individual, I think somebody can identify. Somebody knows that this person is responsible. Somebody right now knows that their significant other, their boyfriend, their husband, is responsible for this. Right now. Some best friend knows that their best friend did this. There is somebody out there that knows exactly who this person is, who that monster is that we saw on that photo, but they feel so bad they don't want to pick up the phone. Like, a woman is dead. A woman is dead. A grandmother is dead. Your friend's not going to be saved. And I can tell you there's a lot of people like me that we find out that you kept your mouth shut. We're going to be pushing for you too. I mean, it just is what it is. So do yourself a favor and start doing what's right now. Don't be drugged into this. It's not worth it. I mean, somebody is dead, okay? There's a few things, like, you want to help a friend, you want to help a family member, you do it when it's a ticket. You do it when it's a low-level crime. You're talking about a homicide. Nobody needs a body on them, okay? I don't care whether you love the MFer or not. It's not worth you going to jail, because I guarantee somebody's got kids with this SOB. And you're really going to take mommy and daddy away from them? Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Somebody out there knows this man. Turn him in for everything that's holy. I don't care who you are. Turn him in. You don't need a body on you. And you protecting him, if you know something, you're going to get yourself into some criminal hot water you do not need to be in. Nobody is worth this. If you ain't out there doing it yourself, you better not be taking a charge because you want to withhold information from law enforcement. That's pretty stinking stupid. Oh, look who it is, Mustang. Hello, my love. Big hugs and loves to you. Big hugs and loves to you. Monks and Tree convinced me. We need more monks. Probably wouldn't have so many problems. Hey, Mustang. It's nice to see you, love. It's nice to see you. So let's keep going. We got a lot to go over with Nanos. What's this one? Oh, the Deception Detective. He's not buying it. We're not going to go over to the Deception Detective. I'll drop his link. You guys can go over there and listen to him. But I got to tell you, we might just take a couple clips.
So it's just, it's frustrating and it's upsetting, because I just wish they had so much more to go on, Just wish they had so much more to go on. You hear Savannah and the heartbreak in her voice, the sadness, the frustration, the bewilderment when she talked about leaving Arizona and flying back to New York and just wondering, where are you, right? Put yourself in her shoes. You can't even imagine what this is like for them, right? For these kids. So hearing that just made it even more of a puzzle. If you saw my episode the other day, an investigator saying, to the progress of how's it going, we ain't got shit. That also is extremely frustrating. How does a guy who looks like a bit of a buffoon, MacGyvering his way around the front, how does that guy get away with this? How is it that the full force of the U.S. government, the feds, and Pima County Sheriff's Department, 400 staff members, agencies, agents, officers, etc., at one point on this case, it's obviously atrophied since, but how is it that this guy can outsmart them, or has he, right? I will say this again. I will say it as often as I can. Come here, sweetheart. Hold on a second. Just a minute. I'll say this again, that somebody knows something. Somebody behaved in a really weird way after February the 1st. Somebody did just some weird things. They weren't right. They were weird. They were behaving in an odd way in the days and weeks after Nancy disappeared. I've mentioned it before. Maybe somebody stole a car to do this because they didn't want their car on camera anywhere. So
I'm sorry, but Luke Daly was driving a car that didn't belong to him because his car was wrecked. He didn't buy his Range Rover until after Miss Nancy Guthrie had been disappeared. And it's, to me, I feel like he was driving around in something before she disappeared. What was he driving around in?
did you lose your car did you get your car stolen at that time? And maybe they stole it and brought it back, and it's hard to even know, but you thought it was weird. You thought you parked somewhere else, and it wasn't, it wasn't in the same spot when you came out the next morning. Oh, she's got hiccups. I don't know if you can see this. She's hiccuping.
She needs a dog. She needs a dog. I think this is the happiest I've seen Ashley Banfield, but she'll want a puppy up until the puppy chews her first set of really expensive shoes, and then she's ready to get rid of the puppy.
And trying to chew my hair. You can't do that. No, you can't.
Aw, little girl.
I've forgotten what it's like to have a puppy after Atlas. If any of you have just joined, or if you're watching for the first time, Atlas was my golden doodle. 15.
I gotta tell, dogs just make you smile. I'm sitting here smitten watching this little puppy. I don't know why. I'm just smitten.
15.5 years old. Sweetheart, don't do that. And Atlas was my life, and I lost him in November.
Puppies with hiccups. Delilah has them every day.
I know
just
a lot
about.
of you members and subscribers who've been with me for a while. You watched Atlas. He was a big part of our group, and when I lost him, it was just massive. And I've had this hole in my heart ever since. So when Jane had this event, I said, "Can I babysit Zenyatta?" And she said yes. So I've got Zenyatta. Anyway.
Look at that face. Look at that face. Aww.
My thought pattern. You take my...
A cute poopy. I call them poopies because, when they're puppies, they're poopies. So I just call them poopies. Look at those adorable poopies because they're always filled with poop. They're always filled with poop, aren't you? Isn't that right? Ain't that right? Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie, Lala.
And my thoughts. What puppy eats?
All right.
One of my more unusual. But I wanted to bring this episode to you because with that information, that they just didn't have anything in the house to indicate that anything had happened. There wasn't a story that was told forensically in that home, at least in the beginnings,
Gucci
right?
purses.
What does that mean now? Especially since, I also had that information from a source.
Thank
that
you,
said,
let them.
As to the progress of the case. What does it mean? And so, look, I'm a journalist, but there are people who do this for a living. And Phil Waters is, retired from the Houston Police Department, homicide detective, worked on over 400 cases. So
Wow.
He knows what he's doing, right?
And we love people like that. Let Them 66 says, good morning, chat. Maz just would like to say prayers to everyone that needs them. Prayers for the Guthries. Thank you, love. Thank you so much. We appreciate you as well. I still feel it's one person. If more than one, someone would have spoken up by now to claim the reward. I think it was a worker she hired. Just my opinion. It might be. You might be onto something. I'm not past that. Um, I think that she, over the years, has had several things going on in her world. It just what brought this person to them, and it's just very hard for me to believe. I mean, outside of something like Nick Rayner, just a freaking druggy, messed up sibling of a wealthy person. We don't have a Nick Rayner in this story, folks. We just don't. I mean, people are trying to paint Tommaso as like a Nick Rayner, but he's not. And any family short of having a Nick Rayner in their family, in their immediate family, you're probably not going to have the family member, because again, even though the majority of the time we're dealing with homicides or missing persons, the family is responsible, right? But that number, in all reality, to families across this country is a very, very small percent. That means the majority of families across this country love each other and would never hurt each other. Okay? So we are talking about a small segment of a small segment. So we have to remember that. I know it seems like a much larger segment because that small segment is the only place we dwell in true crime. And so it seems like it's everywhere when it's not. It's actually, all the crime we are talking about is a very small percentage of our overall population.
And he sees things in a different way. And so I called him up because I wanted to just get a feel for what he thinks about this news that I got from my sources in the investigation and law enforcement, that it just didn't look like anything had happened. Again, the words are, but for the blood in the front entrance and walking outside down the front walkway. And
then what prompted the homicide investigators? What prompted the homicide investigators? That is the question. They bypassed major crimes and brought out the homicide investigators. Why? You cannot tell me they brought out the homicide investigators because of a few drops of blood. I don't feel like that is... I don't feel like that is what we're, I feel like there's more there. But we do know that blood would trigger homicide. I just expected it to be more blood to trigger homicide investigators. But we know that the blood would be what would trigger the homicide investigation. I just expected to have a little more blood than just what we're seeing at the front door. That doesn't seem like that would be enough to have homicide investigators on scene. Just my personal opinion. But again, I don't know. I'm not the one making decisions, and none of us have been able to understand why Chris Nanos makes some of the decisions that he makes to begin with.
Camera missing and the man on camera. Oh, there she goes. Oh my goodness. It just didn't appear that anything had happened. It appeared that she had just up and walked out. So I called Phil because maybe there's something to that he would see differently. I also asked Phil about the other things that I had broken this week, and that was that the Guthrie kids told the police that Mrs. Guthrie would often leave the back doors, plural, unlocked, and that the blood pattern inside the home that I had reported on weeks ago, that there is a blood pattern inside the home that matches the blood pattern outside that front entrance. Well, I learned this week where it is, and it is right across that front threshold of the front door, right? Inside, at that front foyer, that blood pattern starts and just continues outside. So I asked him about all of these things, and with his, homicide detective prism, what his thoughts are about all of these things. And here's my conversation with him. Phil, what do you make of that information? Because I'm floored.
Oh, look at the puppy
by
cam.
the fact that there doesn't seem to be any evidence of a crime
Look at the puppy
anywhere in
cam.
the home,
Aww.
except for that front foyer and the front entrance outside and the blood, trail and the man
Paula.
on the camera.
Well, Ashley, I always follow evidence. And so people talking, sources, Savannah mentioning doors being propped open. I mean, those are, I don't know that I would call them evidence from my perspective. They are commentary about that particular scene. And I've always wondered what the interior of the house looked like, because that is something that it's not been shared with us. Now, for the sake of our discussion, we can assume that the source is correct, or the source says are correct about the inside of the house. And there is, to put it in your words, no crime scene. So, but we do have the blood, which...
I can't imagine there being no crime scene and homicide investigators being called. That just doesn't make sense to me. But again, we're not, law enforcement, so maybe it does make sense to some law enforcement. Is there any law enforcement or retired law enforcement in the chat that can glean some light on this, like why they would have the the homicide investigators if it didn't appear that there was any homicide? I mean, if it's this clean, if the house is this clean, why would the homicide detectives be there? So maybe somebody in the chat, or maybe even somebody that's on the replay crew, if you're former law enforcement or current law enforcement that has understanding of the investigations, maybe you can answer that question for me. You can send it either in the comment sections or send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I keep all your information confidential. If you don't want your name known or discussed, I will not discuss it.
Indicates something happened in there. And my questions from the beginning regarding the blood have been, what we knew was that we had the blood droplets. We don't have spatter. We've got some droplets out there, which to me, would indicate a probable head wound of some kind.
I disagree. I believe we do have spatter out there. We have at least a medium velocity spatter spray out that front door.
And they're on the exterior. So my first take is that's a storm door. And then there's an interior door on the other side of it.
So that's the two doors. Is the same entrance with two doors, both propped open, the same entrance? Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay,
no, he's talking about the front door with the storm door. Now she's going back to the back door. No, these are two different areas of the house that he's talking about. He's talking about the front door with the storm door. That one had two doors to it. There's not one door in the back that I saw that has two doors to it, a screen door and a door. The screen door, again, is on the outside of the door, not on the inside of the door.
On the back side, though, right? On the back side. So my question is were those doors secured? Which would be very odd when you've got the blood, now we're being told, reportedly, on the inside in the same area, and then you got it on the outside, which would indicate what? She was taken out of that door.
Yep.
Up the driveway and put into a vehicle of some kind and took off with it. So that's kind of confusing. So now you have this stuff on the back side where the doors are propped open and so forth. And if that is true, why were they left open? Is it because they left through the front door and they're not going to go back and close those doors? And those doors being open, we have not been told whether there was forced entry or not. So that's my other question. Are the doors on the back side, are there signs of forced entry, or were they just opened up? Now, I think there's been some talk that she would leave doors open and that kind of thing. I've heard that. Don't know if that's true or not, but that is a suggestion certainly. And if the doors are not forced, then that would seem to indicate that there's something to that particular piece of information. So, but like I said, the doors and the blood, that's I think you've got two separate pieces of evidence in that scene.
Yeah, I can tell you what my sources have told me about the doors. 3 different sources, all saying back door wide open. Singular, not prop, just back door.
Let's go back to the original. We were told the back doors had forced entry from her sources. I am sick and tired of her changing it and acting like it's been like that all the time. So I'm going to constantly make sure that my people here are corrected, because she said there was forced entry on the back of the door. People addressed the sheriff and said, we heard forced entry. And he's like, who is telling you guys this? So I don't believe there was forced entry on the back door. She has since moved her position from her original position, from her source, from them being a broke into back door to then now all of a sudden they've been left open. But she never tells people that. She's like, my source said. No, she didn't. It's irritating the piss out of me. If you're going to bring in sources, be accurate with your freaking sources. Instead of look like you're trying to cover something up. That's what annoys the crap out of me about this. At the end of the day, the doors changed for Ashley Banfield, and her sources walked back them being broken into to being one being left open. To me, if how can they be close to this investigation and not know these details? So somebody's guessing somewhere. And that's what's being very, very well known throughout all of this back and forth with this stupid source.
Wide open. And
sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
Also told me that the Guthrie children have reported to the police that their mother frequently would leave her back doors unlocked. So it's possible there might have been somebody who worked in that yard in the back.
There was no damage to the locks.
Guthrie going in and out and maybe not locking doors, and thought of an opportunity.
So far, I have not seen one, not in the front, not on the front of that house, and not in the back of the house. There have been 0 locks that I've personally seen damaged anywhere on that house. Not one. Not one. So far, I've looked through the videos of the back doors and everything like that. There has not been one lock that has been damaged that I've personally seen.
And at some point maybe came back and smashed those back lights, because we saw those floodlights in the back dangling and probably inoperable. And
I think they went back there to get something to move Miss Guthrie, and I think they got up there and they had to turn those lights off, and I think they damaged them with something. They may have grabbed something out of that storage unit, like a pole, a paintbrush, a stick, a push broom stick, and damaged those lights potentially. You know, it doesn't look like they got a ladder out and climbed up there and removed the light bulbs. So it looks like they had to use something to destroy those lights, and I can't imagine them jumping up to do it because they're 8 feet or taller. So they probably went back there, grabbed a pole of some sort of, something to damage them, and maybe got it out of the storage unit back there. That might be the second door that was open. Maybe the storage door was wide open. Maybe that's the problem. Would you like to support, that's channel, that's my Nightbot. I've heard her ask, was there forced entry, but not outright saying there was forced entry. No, she said that her source originally, she said when she was talking about Tommaso and the car and the Annie's car being towed and all that, she says that their Nest cameras, there's multiple Nest cameras. Those Nest cameras were smashed. All the cameras were smashed. There was forced entry in the back of the door. She said a lot of stuff, and the majority, about 50% of what her source said was accurate, ended up being inaccurate. So we have to point that out. We try to be fair around here, and we hold even content creators' feet to the fire when they make assessments like this, and they continue to hold on to those assessments. At the end of the day, she needs to acknowledge that her source is partly right. Okay, and not an impeccable source like she claimed,
and made his his clandestine entry in the dark, knowing that there were cameras on the casita pointing to the backyard.
The casita,
and was able to make entry.
That's the second time I saw it. So
why he would...
the photo that I must have showed you guys of the bedding and the rugs, I did remember seeing a casita there, and I never knew what a casita was. So I guess that's whatever for a guest house. So that rug and that blanket might have been from the guest house that we were observing from Matt Finn's photo yesterday. So I'm still working on trying to find all the footage from that morning. If you guys could help me, I'm looking for footage, news footage or content creator footage from February 1st to February 5th. So if you guys run across any articles or any videos from February 1st to February 5th, please forward them over to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com.
would prop the doors open. My feeling is that, and this is just my own theory, is that his intention was to prop the doors open and maybe get Mrs. Guthrie out that same way and out to the back garage area and down the driveway to maybe where his waiting car was in the dark, out of view of any camera. But suddenly he realized, I don't think this woman can make it, because Savannah has said on a good day she could get to the mailbox, but most days could not.
And so could that be the reason why she got the beat down there at the threshold? Because she just couldn't walk. She was in a lot of pain. She was scared. And not only that, but when you're terrified, your muscles tighten up. So if you already have back and muscle and bone problems, that's going to intensify in areas of shock. And she was probably confused. Remember, she couldn't see well. She didn't have her glasses on. She didn't have her hearing aids in, potentially. She might have had a second pair of hearing aids in. So you're talking about her not being able to see well and her not being able to hear well, and people forcing her out of her home. I mean, that has to be very, very scary for this woman. I mean, I can't imagine the fear that she must have been going through. She must have been, fighting back a little bit. I mean, I'm sure she thought it was a dream or a nightmare, that this wasn't real. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine somebody waking me up out of my bed and starting to beat the shit out of me and trying to abduct me from my home. Like, I could not imagine. I mean, I'd like to think that I would pick up something and start beating somebody's ass with it. But, when you're in a vulnerable position and you're asleep and you're waking up and you can't even see and can't even barely hear and you got somebody on you. I mean, I can't imagine what that has to be like. I can't imagine. Like, I sit there and try to think of what would I do? I mean, I don't know. What do you do in a situation like that? By that time, it's too late. It's too late. You know it's too late. By the time somebody already has their hands on you, it's too late.
Think now and scramble and rejig the plan, and those back doors and that long walk were now out of it. So now he's thinking out the front door.
Certainly a possibility. I mean, that's the other thing. Is kind of the conundrum here is that there's several scenarios.
Yeah, there is.
Savannah's use of the word prop. I mean, does that mean?
But two times, and because I thought, was she misspeaking? But she said the word prop.
Well, no, I understand that, but remember, she's getting that information from her sister. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
when you start telling a story and it starts going through the different people, we all know that by the time
telephone,
the old experiment, right? You start the story at the first person, and then you have them tell the story down to 15 people or a dozen people. By you get to the end of it, it's nowhere near the story you started with. So
exactly,
right. So is that her sister's term? It was propped open. Now, it makes more sense to me that the wide open, which means the door was left open. That's just what it means. It was left open. And however it was, now propped makes it sound like
propped. I mean, I don't think somebody would change their thing. When you hear propped open, nobody's going to say the door's wide open was propped open. When you hear propped open, that to me implies something is preventing that door from closing. That's what propped open defines in my brain cell. I don't say when my front door's open, it's been propped open unless something's holding it open from closing, like a chair or something like that. But I do open my doors, right? But I don't prop my doors open. The only time I prop my doors open is when I have my back door open, and I have to prop my front and back door open because the suction going through the house will slam both of them shut. So the only time I prop open doors is with an item to prevent it from closing. So I feel that propped open is not something that would have been mistaken for the door being wide open. I just don't feel like somebody would make a mistake like that, even speaking to we're not talking about this person speaking through 15 people and it ultimately getting to Savannah as propped open. We're talking about it going from one person that saw this to a secondary person. And granted, that's her definition, propped open. But I have to think that with Savannah and Annie being sisters, propped open means it's propped open. That's the way I look at it. It's propped open. Something is preventing the door from closing.
Like there was something, an obstruction put there to keep the door open, right? So there's an implication here. Either way, what we do know, or at least what the sources, if we believe the sources, the door was open.
I mean,
that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
So of course, I'm of the school that I don't believe it was a kidnapping. I think that something went horribly wrong inside that house. And the crook says, holy crap, what do? I got an 84-year-old woman who is
dead,
injured in some way, and we don't know to the extent of the injury. Did she die there? Was she unconscious there? And now, crooks do this all the time. We just got to get rid of a body. And so that's where you have them going through the front door, because that's the quickest way. That's the path of least resistance.
We talk about path of least resistance a lot on this channel, when it comes to criminals, because criminals, they're not wanting to monkey F around. I believe that this theory here from this law enforcement officer is more in line with probably what happened, because I've been saying from the very beginning, I believe this lady was deceased or dying at the time she was removed from this home. I don't see any purpose of removing her. And I know Savannah Guthrie wants to believe that this is a ransom and everything like that. And maybe she wants to believe it because so many people are beating up on her family. And this is the only thing that relieves her of having to think her family could be involved. But at the end of the day, we have heard of these burglary rings. It's not like this is the first time we're hearing about it. And, we heard it from Jennifer Coffindaffer, right? We've heard it from Jennifer Coffindaffer. We learned that there was a Chilean burglary robbery ring that was targeting high-profile elderly people or people with some money. We also had those anonymous online individuals known as 8, and I can't remember the other name, but they had extorted 2 teenagers in California to go over to Scottsdale, Arizona, and home invade a person for a $66 million crypto key information. And these teenage boys did it, and they were arrested and put in jail. And they received notifications on the Signal app from 2 individuals known as 8 and something else. And they've, from my understanding, have never found those 2 individuals that were communicating with those boys that put them up to doing this. How many more have been done this very same way? What if these people that did this to Nancy Guthrie were extorted into doing this, much like the 2 teenagers that came from California to do it in Scottsdale, Arizona. That's pretty scary to me as well. And then you've got just the normal run-of-the-mill bad guys that live there in Tucson that want to wreak havoc or get something for nothing. The question is was this person there for Nancy, or was this person there for something else? And I think that if this person was there for something else, they would have came a lot earlier and not in the middle of the night. To me, they came there specifically for Nancy. They wanted Nancy inside that home. And the question is why? Why did they want Nancy inside that home? Why? What was their purpose with her? Again, if it's a single person, which somebody believes, I saw somebody earlier saying they believe that this was somebody that acted alone. I believe if this person acted alone, that this was sexually motivated. If this is a double person, this was something else. This was either financially motivated or hired or resentment. There's three options with that one. But if there's a single person, to me, there's only one option with all the information we have, being around the property for 41 minutes, dragging the body out. You know, it really does sound like a sexual assault that ended in homicide, and they needed to get rid of the evidence. That's what it says to me. But again, it really does. What happened inside this home depends on whether there was multiple people or not. So that's where I'm at with this whole thing. There was something else going on if there's multiple people. The real Emily Rose, it's nice to see you, Lovebug. I hope you're doing well. Savannah said propped open, but I don't think she meant propped. I think she meant opened. Propped open. She's an attorney. No attorney. I have to, again, it comes back. We're not talking about a layperson here. We're talking about somebody that's in media that knows words matter. I don't believe she would make a mistake like that. I'm sorry, I just don't. If it had it been anybody else, had it been just some random person, then yeah, I would believe that it's possible that she made the mistake. But you're talking about a woman that's very seasoned in media, that is part of mainstream media, that's part of national media, that also holds a law license. I get she's a nervous wreck, but even nervous wrecks, you don't make mistakes like that. Not with that type of, because she's a professional. Okay. She's not one of us. Okay. She's like, we would be a nervous wreck. But she's got an entire team that's helping prepare her for this. Okay. It's not like she's just being put in front of a camera like, say, Seth Rogers. She has an entire team that she is talking to every single day, giving her tidbits on what to say and how to convey certain information. Being propped open and being left open are two totally different actions. And I just can't imagine that Savannah made a mistake like that. She made the mistake of a Ring camera. Yeah, but the Ring camera and a Nest camera, it's natural for all of us. Think about it. How many times have I called it a Ring camera since I've been here? You see what I'm saying? That is a little different. In my opinion, that's a difference, because everybody's naturally calls everything Ring cameras, because that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a ring, a doorbell ring with a camera on it. And so Ring camera is what, she's not talking about a brand. She's talking about the type of product it was, and it was a Ring doorbell camera. The product was a Nest, but it's still, I think she was describing what was ripped off, not the name brand. And there's where the differentiate, that's how I differentiate that. Yes, she said Ring camera, but I think she was referring to the type of product, not the name brand. That's where I think everybody is getting so confused about that. That's just my opinion. And maybe I'm stretching it because it may need to fit. Maybe that's where my bias comes in. So you guys have to take that with a grain of salt too. This is from my perspective. I can't give it to you from your perspective, because we have two different brains and we have different experiences in life as well. So, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for any of you what this stuff means, but I just, in my opinion, I don't care what's going on. I'm not making a mistake of propped open or left wide open. Okay. There is no way I'd be making that type of mistake. I speak here in media. If this happened, and I have been trained in the law. So for me, I can only put myself in this. There is no way I would mistake that with left open and propped open. There's just no way I would mistake that. So I have to, that's the only way I can analyze things, is from my perspective. I can't analyze it from anybody else's. But that's just something I wouldn't make a mistake on.
The quickest way to a destination is a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than go out the back and come around and do all this finagling, we just go out that front door and get it right to the drive, get to the street, put her in a car, and we're gone.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's so many possibilities here, but I'm just trying to follow evidence. And my question is, if the blood at the door in the house, if that's true, was the storm door and that front door, were they unlocked? So if
And that's a good question. In all fairness, we brought that up on this show, but nobody has talked about, because somebody says, was the front door still open? Nobody's discussed whether the front door was opened or closed. Even if that, because it looks like that storm door might have an automatic, one of those arms that automatically shut it for you. The hydraulic arm, that cheap little arm that goes, right? And slams it and makes you jump every time it locks. That automatic door, that automatic hydraulic thing, that might have shut that front gate, but was the front door, the actual door, was that open or closed? Were those locked? Like, how were those everybody's talking about the back doors, which, again, they were broken into. Now they're not broken into. Now they're just left wide open, and they went from being left wide open to being propped open, multiple doors, not just one. So I can say that the source, the impeccable source, is a little foggy on the details. But nobody has talked about the front door. How was the front door? What was at the front door? What door did Tommaso and Annie come into when their mom was missing? Did they come into the front door? Or did they go through the garage door? How did they get in the house? How did they come to know that something happened inside that home? That's what security doors are kept locked. I understand that, but we know that they went out the door. If you're inside the door, you can unlock the door and walk out the door. So we know that that Nancy's blood's on the outside of that door. That's what we can see. Now, of course, Ashley Banfield saying there's blood on the inside of that door threshold, which wouldn't surprise us, right? We see the blood dripping out the door. Would it really surprise us or be that far of a stretch that there's also some exhibits of blood on the inside of that door? Of course not. That seems like it would be normal for us, right? We've also heard that there is a possibility of this person being moved or repositioned to stop that blood flow, because we see the blood flow dripping, and they say it's not just dripping, but it's being stationary. That means it's sitting there for a few moments, just bleeding and dripping. That sounds like somebody's sitting something down for a second. None of this has sounded good from the very beginning. I've always believed that Miss Nancy Guthrie was dying or in the process of dying as she was being removed from the home. Nothing else really makes sense in my cranium of why she wasn't left there, even if it was a robbery or burglary. That's what developed the sexual assault scenario for me, is because I have to try to find a way to explain why an assailant is around the house for 41 minutes and then takes somebody out of the house with them when they leave. And that really does solve a lot of the questions that we have. And it also absolves Miss Savannah Guthrie of being the target that brought this monster to her mother's door. There's nothing more in my mind, body, and soul that wants me to believe that Savannah had nothing to do with her mom. I feel like I hope and wish, I hope and wish and hope and wish and hope and wish that she finds peace after this case is solved with everything. And I'm praying to God that she is not the reason for this, because I know that for the rest of her life, she will never forgive herself. She'll work every day to try to find some peace for herself, but it'll always be in the back of her mind. And she doesn't need that. She doesn't deserve that. No, nor does anybody else that's a victim of crime. It's heartbreaking. So let's finish up this, and then we'll get over to Nanos, the criminal.
They're unlocked, and that's obviously where they came out. But then you got the blood on the other side, which indicates that's where she was taken out that door.
Most people.
Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. The Deception Detective, many of you guys send me him. I do watch him. I'm a regular subscriber for his show. I pay attention to him because he helps guide, and he's one of the experts that I run to get a little insight on cases as well. It's just on this particular case, whether it's right or wrong, I do disagree with him in part. I'm not and have not been engaged with thinking the family did this. And usually I'm the first one that believes the family does things because of statistics. And although I knew that this was a case that defied logic, I also believed that if it was one of the family, it would have been very well noticeable. It'd be very difficult to hide this if it was the family. And because this case has kind of went on, and it does seem like we have a classic whodunit here, this tells me that it's most likely somebody that's not, readily known to this family. And that means a third party, not a family member, not an employee, maybe somebody that came in contact with this family a slightly different way. But at the end of the day, we do have some differences here. He believes that we both believe Savannah is in denial. The deception detective, as well as myself. And again, I'm not trained or an attorney trained in statement analysis and deception. Okay. We're just average folks over here that analyze based on our experiences that we've had out in the world. And I've had quite a few of them. Okay. I've been on the inside, the outside, I've been up, down, and all around. Right. So I have an opinion of my own, and sometimes my opinions counter what the professionals say, and I'm perfectly fine until I have a brain cell of my own, and yeah, we have professionals, but it doesn't mean that we have to take their statements as 100% accurate and or true, because they're basing it upon their own experiences. They don't know either. They're just putting their professional expertise forward and telling you what they that they think is going on here. And he does believe Savannah had nothing to do with this, and he believes she's being manipulated by her family, either her sister, brother-in-law, or brother. He has not excluded even Cameron when it comes to what happened to Nancy Guthrie, but he says that Savannah is hitting all of the right buttons. But the problem he has is Savannah's talking on behalf of her siblings, and she should only be talking on her own behalf. And because she's trying so hard to clear her family in the public, it's really starting to have this impression that she's trying to force feed this down everybody's throat. And I do believe that in part, but I believe it's because she knows her family had nothing to do with it. Sometimes you just know. Okay. But we have to take into consideration that even famous people can be in denial and be in shock. And we have to balance all of that as well. And that's where I'm kind of at with all of this. Do I believe Savannah? Yeah, I do believe Savannah. I believe that she had nothing to do with what happened. So we know that Chris Nanos is investigating the case. Many of us know that he probably shouldn't be investigating the case, that he should not even be the sheriff in this community because he had such a despicable history about him. And I've got all of these out of order as I'm reading through here, but I did want to read some other stuff. In business, we're getting mugged as mark of success. So here's something Chris Nanos does well for himself. Nanos is a decoy for El Paso Police Tactical Squad, the bait for strong armed robbery, pickpocketing, drug dealers who roam the city's seedier side. So he's one of those type of people back in the 80s and 90s. And what he pray, they don't know, he's highly decorated, 6-year police veteran and a member of the police boxing team. Interesting. He's a part of their boxing team, and he takes a flashlight and beats a cuffed suspect. Nana's always under the watchful eye of 6 tactical squad members. Interesting. These are the good old days for him. And then it gets down. Where is it? I got to try to find it. These are out of order. Maybe it's down at the back. Maybe I got them out the back. One is boxing. Officer Chris Nanos, who won his in boxing, another gold medal. So he's a gold medal star of El Paso, Texas. A businessman. That's the same story right there, just a better. Where is the one about him? I might have to go to the emails because these are all out of whack. Give me just a second. Let me go to the emails. I wanted to show you guys this. I got these all out of whack. I had them in order, but then when I copied and got them up on Google, that's when they screwed up on me. So yeah, don't know where this one is. Let me read this one to you. There we go. Robbery suspect fled charges. Here it is. This is the one I want to read to you guys. There we go. So this one says, charges have been filed with police by the victim of an alleged police assault that resulted in the Monday suspension of patrolman Chris Nanos. Carlos Urias, Urias, he's 34, of Juarez, who was charged in connection with aggravated robbery of an Upper Valley convenience store before the incident, filed the complaint from the intensive care unit of Thomason General Hospital. Urias told robbery detective Ed Urib, I don't know how to pronounce that he was cussed at, kicked in the leg, and then struck in the head by a police officer, and he and the other two were stopped at the 3500 block of Dorifan at 12:30 a.m. on Monday. The report, which listed the charge as a felony aggravated assault, did not name an officer. So Chris Nanos was about to be charged with felony aggravated assault. That would have prevented him from ever being a police officer again. And they ended up giving him an ultimatum of you resign or we're going to fire you. This was it. This was the last straw. But described the suspect as a white man between 25 and 28, short with slender build and a thin mustache and wearing a police uniform. So this guy was much younger than the person he beat up. Urias, who charged with aggravated robbery and is in custody on a $5,000 bond, said he wanted to press charges against the officer because he is unsure of the extent of his injuries and does not know how he's going to pay his hospital bills. He was listed in stable condition at Thomason Tuesday night. Urias Fresco Oliga, I can't pronounce that, of whatever, and Antonio Castillo of whatever, and John were stopped by Officer John Driscoll soon after the robbery at the Circle K on Donovan Avenue or whatever, in which $150 was taken. Several other officers, including Nanos, arrived minutes later. According to Urib, he was and his two companions were stopped by police and ordered out of their vehicle at gunpoint. An officer then started cussing them out, the report said, and then began kicking Urias several times in the leg. He reported the leg showed no signs of injury, although he complained of pain in his leg. He said then after that he was patted down and handcuffed. He leaned against the car, and when he felt a blow to the left side of his forehead and felt blood going down his face. He also said he saw blood on the car window. He fainted soon after that, the report said, and recalls only that he was put on a stretcher and taken to Thomason. So he was handcuffed, patted down, not a problem, and then bam, a crack upside the head that sent him to ICU. And it was Chris Nanos that should have been charged with that crime. I get so sick of the two-tier system because still to this day, there are some police officers that are given the opportunity to resign versus facing charges, and I totally disagree with that. You break the law, you go to jail. I don't give a rat's ass whether you wear the badge or not. If you don't want to go to jail being a badge wearer, then don't violate criminal conduct while wearing a badge or being an officer of our law. One thing I can't stand more than anything in this world is a corrupted person or a law enforcement that's a bad cop. Because you give all other cops bad names because of one bad cop. It loses the respect and the trust of a lot of people to the good cops. And we need good cops out there because we have to have law enforcement. We have to have law enforcement. So is Chris Nanos a criminal? That was my question. That was my question here. Nanos the criminal? Question mark. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. This man should not be the sheriff of this community. This man should not be running the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. This man does not have the mindset, the morale. His moral compass is busted. And at the end of the day, he still shows those same types of behaviors that he was suspended for as the sheriff of this community. And that is pretty stinking scary. How do you expect to have law enforcement when you have a criminal behind the badge? How do you expect to have good law enforcement when the biggest criminal is wearing the badge and the gun and thinks he can abuse people? Abuse people. So anyways, guys, it is coming up. We have occupied your time. It's time for you guys to get on to church. I thank you for coming and hanging out with me this beautiful morning. We will be doing another live after church. If you guys have any questions, any perspective, would you like me to cover an angle of this case we haven't covered? Send me an email to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. We're covering this case, folks. We want answers. More importantly, we want to know what happened to Nancy Guthrie, and we want the monsters that did this to her behind bars. We want to make sure that they never have an opportunity to hurt another human being ever again. And every single day, we let them out and let them run loose as one more day they can hurt another individual. And that is very, very scary to us here in the true crime community. This should be very, very scary to those folks that are out there in the Arizona community. We are here with you. We just want you guys to do better, and we definitely want you guys to be safe. I don't care what side of the aisle you come from. At the end of the day, we can't argue with one another if we're not here. So we need to make sure that we're here first and that we are all safe so we can argue another day. So just remember that. All right, guys, I love you. God bless you. Happy Palm Sunday. Let's say prayers for all those that are struggling, which is a lot this day and age. We have a lot of people struggling right now. The Guthrie family, the Eve family. Heck, we even have people that we don't even know that it's in our chat that are struggling with all types of stuff. So just say a prayer. If you need to get right with God, it's time for you to get right with God. Nobody else is going to do it for you but you. You've got to make decisions for yourself. And remember what Miss Nancy Guthrie says when she was going through her hell, when she couldn't even barely put one foot in front of the other. What did she say? You have to decide and you have to do. Decide and do. Decide and do. So each of you that is struggling today, just remember Miss Nancy Guthrie. Honor her and decide what to do and go and do it. God bless.